the majority of the people that I work with that have been involved in this scenario are in fact girls. And so that's why I just kind of naturally use that term. But the reality is that boys can also be drawn into this scenario. A lot of people believe that sex trafficking victims tend to be those that come from poor homes, girls that just need money, and that's absolutely not true.
There is no profile of a victim. Victims can come from any background, any race, any financial status, from poverty to high income, any home, two-parent homes, single-parent homes.
I've had victims here in Fairfax County whose parents make well over $1 million, that live in very nice neighborhoods, whose parents are influential people within the community.
Believe it or not, one of the best ones, you know, the best prospects come from the suburbs. Sounds funny, but think about it. That girl's an outcast because her peers, which is probably going to be middle class or lower class, she got a lot to prove. She gonna want to say, hey, just because my family got money, I'm still down. Just because my family got money, that don't mean I'm a goody two-shoes. So she gonna go that extra mile that the girl from the hood won't do. She gonna go that extra mile, and she gonna do whatever is necessary to show that she from the hood, or she down, or you know, she got it in her.
I've had situations where victims are recruited at the bus stop. I've had situations where victims are recruited within the schools. Maybe it's a possible, you know, in some of these bigger schools, it's a 7th grader being recruited by a 12th grader.
Sometimes it'll happen at school. Try not to because, you know, I don't really want everybody to know what I'm doing. So, you know, it'd be like after school parties, events, you know, and a lot of times I don't have to do nothing. I don't have to do nothing. I came, you know, it was pretty much like the head scout. You know, the rest of the scouts were the girls that was already doing it.
The commercial sex acts themselves are not occurring in the schools, but what we are seeing in the schools is the recruitment aspect of it. The grooming, where they're starting to talk to these girls about possibly engaging in this type of activity, and they're really starting to convince them that it's okay.
It could definitely happen to any student. In high school, I was focused on receiving a scholarship to go to college for track. I've always wanted to become an attorney, so my dream was becoming, at that time I wanted to do corporate law because I had this business mind.
These traffickers are looking for specific things. They're looking for girls that don't appear to have a lot of self-confidence. So specifically, girls that may be walking through the mall with slumped shoulders or looking down at the ground and not walking very confidently. Those are the girls that the traffickers are going to approach.
How you stand in a mall, your posture, who you're with, or who you're not with for that matter.
And they know within the first 30 seconds of communicating with the girl, engaging her in conversation, whether or not she has a lot of self-esteem.
These are the kind of students that are looking to be included. Their defenses are kind of down, and they're more inclined to agree to do things, to agree to behaviors, to go places, hang out with people, make choices that they know very well might not be the best choices, but because they're so eager to fit in, they make these decisions that they otherwise would not.
They can pick you out of a crowd, and they're just how good they are at doing that. That's just scary.
If they walk up to a girl in the mall, at a metro station, wherever, and the guy says to the girl, you know what, I've been noticing you from a distance. I think you're one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen. Would love to take you out. If that girl's head drops to the ground and she starts looking at her shoes with her eyes down, he knows he's got her. because normally a compliment, that's not something she's heard before, and her natural reaction is that she doesn't believe it, so she kind of puts her head down, looks at her shoes. Again, at that point, the guy knows he's got her. He knows he's got a girl with a low self-esteem.
Because if she, looks them in the eye and makes eye contact with them when they speak to her and speak very confidently, they're not going to go after that girl. They're looking for the girl that appears to be shy, that's not going to make eye contact, that appears to be flattered that this guy has approached her and talked to her.
He introduced himself, was a very nice gentleman. We exchanged numbers and we began talking. And so, his approach wasn't that he was a dangerous person. He seemed like a very nice person. I would never think that this guy was a pimp.
You ain't used to guys showing you attention. So I'm gonna take you out, I'm gonna get your hair did, your nails did, your toes did, I'm gonna boost you up. Only thing I'm doing at that point is just investing into my stock. And that's what you are, you stock.
We had a young lady that was at the mall, and she was 16 years old. The trafficker could tell that, in fact, she was not very confident about herself, so he approached her. And he said, "Hey, you're really pretty." And she's flattered by that. He starts talking to her, and they, just kind of chit-chat back and forth for a little bit. And he says, "Hey, give me your number, I want to text you." And she says, "I don't have a cell phone." He goes, "No problem, I'm going to buy you a phone." And so for her, what that meant to her was, I am so pretty to this guy. He really likes me that he's willing to spend $100 or $50, whatever it may cost, for a cell phone so that he can stay in contact with me. He starts texting her and says, "Hey, I want to hang out, let's party. Come to this hotel room." She goes there, they start partying, and from that point forward, he just starts to really groom her into this commercial sex.
This happens to people younger than I am, and you can't even fathom what they have to go through. It's just hard to come to terms with.
Well, today's sentencing, Allison, is now the 5th case that we've had of this kind in Northern Virginia, where federal officials say MS-13 gang members start to move young girls as young as preteen into prostitution, having them work out of motels like this one in Falls Church. U.S. Attorney Neil McBride says this man, Alonzo Corneo Ormeno, was sentenced to 24 years in prison for running a teenage prostitution service for MS-13. This man will spend the rest of his life in prison for turning a 6th grade girl into a gang prostitute. He recruited her at a Halloween party.
Girl shows up at a house or at a hotel or at some party thinking she's out there with her boyfriend and is maybe going to be going to a regular, high school party. And what it turns into is when they open the hotel door, there's 4 or 5 guys that are there, and she's in there by herself. And at that point, she doesn't have a choice. They're going to do with her what they set out to do. This is the lifestyle she's going to be living, whether she wants to or not.
I was a gang member, so I knew a lot of people, And when I say people, I knew a lot of tricks. I know a lot of dudes that'll pay for that. So I'm scouting on both ends now, males, prospects, and tricks. I'm young. I know these people. I know he want to get with her. I know he gonna do whatever it takes to get with her, or how much it'll take to get with her. So I'm definitely gonna set that up. Man, listen, I know you've been wanting no girl for a while. We got her at the house right now. We ain't doing nothing, we just over there chilling. All the drink you can get. We got weed, drink, pills. Man, just throw me about $150, $120. You gonna do it. You don't know that you paying for her. She paid for all the intangibles I just named. You paying for her, which definitely, at the end of the day pays me. So, Yeah, you don't know you tricking. You just think you paying the cover cost at the door or whatever.
It is Judgment Day for a Fairfax County man who admitted leading a teenage sex trafficking ring for 6 years.
They look for those girls who post those things online about not feeling wanted. And again, that's what they're grooming themselves to do. The same way they're looking for what the physical attributes are, they're looking for keywords, code words. They're looking for girls who put it out there that they're having problems at home, that maybe they just got dumped by a boyfriend. That's who they're searching for.
Oftentimes, people with ill intent are people you think you know. They're people that have established a relationship with you online. Maybe you've met them through a chat room. Maybe you've met them through private messaging through your Facebook post. Maybe you played an online game with them. There's some connection they've made to you. You think they're your friend, and then their goal is to come up with a face-to-face meeting. When they actually do meet face-to-face, the situation turns out to be something very different than what they thought it was going to be.
And the traffickers will oftentimes create fake accounts, particularly the gang members. They may be posing as other females that are about the same age as the person that they're going after.
I had a girl reach out to me on a modeling website and said, hey, I have this guy who would love to represent you, kind of like a manager type figure. And so she passed along his information to me. We met up for coffee, and I ended up working with him for a period of 4 or 5 months before anything went sour.
You find me one girl who has ever said, when I grow up, I want to be a prostitute. No girl gets into this lifestyle thinking this is what I want to do. They're manipulated into it.